I'm Alex, 34 years old, and for a long time, the gym, man, that place was my sanctuary. Seriously, it was this loud, sweaty, metal-clanking kind of quiet, where I could just drown out the world, push myself, and feel like, for once, I had some control. The clatter of the barbells, the steady hum of the treadmills, the heavy rhythm of breathing all around me. It was like a weird, industrial symphony of calm. It was where I went to escape, to be strong, to just be, until Andrea walked in. First, she was just a new face. Pretty enough, energetic, hair usually pulled back in a neat ponytail. She had this smile, though, that even from across the room, felt a little intense, a little too much. She'd start with innocent questions about the machines, my workout routine, stuff like that. And me, I'm a pretty private guy, especially when I'm in my zone. I'd nod politely, give short, to-the-point answers, trying to keep it all super casual. But then I'd catch her watching me in the mirror, and that smile would just linger. That's when this weird, crawly feeling started, like a shadow was just hanging around my space. It began to creep into every single workout, a tiny, almost invisible crack in the solid wall of my piece, hinting that something was about to shatter. Then one day she just went for it. "Hey, wanna grab coffee sometime?" she asked, her voice sweet, almost cloying. But her eyes, man, her eyes were just drilling into me, demanding a yes I had no intention of giving. I managed a tight, awkward smile, feeling my face flush. I'd practiced the most polite, non-committal no I could think of. "I appreciate it, Andrea, but I actually don't mix dating with my gym routine," I said, trying to keep my voice even, but my insides were already churning with discomfort. After that, things got really, really weird. No more casual hellos, just her staring, just her suddenly popping up next to my machine when the gym was practically empty. My sanctuary, right? Now it felt like a hunting ground and I was the prey. I started avoiding her, changing my workout times, sticking to the machines in the back corners, turning my headphones up so loud I could barely hear myself think. I just wanted to sidestep the whole thing. I hate confrontation. It's a deep-seated thing, tied to some older scars I'll get to later. But my avoidance just seemed to fuel her fire. The first time, she cornered me by the lockers. "Are you avoiding me, Alex?" she asked, her voice laced with an almost aggressive accusation, like I committed some grave offense. I mumbled something vague about being busy, having a lot on my plate. She wasn't buying it. The second time, I was on the leg press, really pushing myself, trying to find that escape again when she just appeared. That feeling of dread, mixed with genuine anger, just boiled over. "Are you avoiding me?" she repeated, louder this time, her eyes daring me to deny it. That's when I snapped. The words just came out. I knew they were rude, probably uncalled for, but they just spilled out of sheer exhaustion and this immense, invisible pressure she was putting on me. "You're just embarrassing yourself, Andrea," I said, my voice low and flat. The next second, before I could even fully register what I'd said, she dropped her foot onto the weight stack of the machine I was using. The bar jolted, I lost my grip, and the weight slammed down. The sound echoed through the gym, making a few heads snap around. I just stood there, my heart pounding, adrenaline surging. I was mortified, angry. I've been rude, yeah, but she'd done something genuinely dangerous. Something that could have seriously hurt me. I went straight to the front desk and reported her. When I vented about it online, most people said I'd actually underreacted. Maybe they were right. A few days later, I saw Andrea again. She walked straight up to me, no hesitation. "So, you reported me," she said, her voice a low hiss, but with this undeniable threat beneath it. "Do you want to grab coffee? We can talk." I said no. No hesitation this time. No awkward smiles. Just a solid, unyielding no, like a rock in a current. We had a short argument, a quick, bitter exchange, and she ended it with words that really stuck with me. "You need to grow up, Alex. Grow up?" She was the one acting like a psycho, making a scene, risking injury. But that phrase, "grow up," it hit different. It landed right on an old bruise, peeling back layers of memories I thought I'd buried. Grow up. Andrea's words were like a key, unlocking a dusty, forgotten room in my mind, where my family memories were stored, meticulously organized, and, as I'd come to realize, constantly re-edit. I remembered it so clearly. I was the capable one in my family, always the older sibling, the big helper, the one who carried Lily's diaper bag and reminded Dad not to leave the stove on. From a young age, I took on responsibilities, sometimes willingly, sometimes because no one else seemed to. By the time I was 10, I could cook 3 meals. By 12, I was walking Lily to preschool, tying her shoelaces when they came undone, braiding her hair every morning because Mom just wasn't good at those things. Lily was the baby, all soft curls and soft stories. When she cried, everything stopped. The world literally paused to soothe Lily. But when I cried, I was told I was being dramatic, that I needed to grow up. At school events, Mom always made a scene, posing with Lily in the center, beaming, soaking up all the attention. Me, I was usually off to the side, holding someone's coat, a blurry background character. Even our birthdays, man, those were telling. Lily's were always themed. Unicorns, dolphins. One year they even rented a pony for her to ride around the yard. Mine? A cake from the freezer aisle, sometimes 2 days late. A quick, almost whispered happy birthday. I used to think maybe I'd done something wrong, that maybe I just wasn't lovable in the same way. But Grandma Eloise, she was different. She never made me wonder. She lived 3 blocks away, in a small blue house with a cracked porch swing and a cookie jar that was always full. She didn't have much, but what she did, she shared without any drama or expectations. Books, stories, her precious time. She taught me how to balance a checkbook before I even hit high school, how to fix a leaky faucet. And more importantly, she taught me how to breathe when it felt like no one saw me, how to find that quiet center within myself when everything else was chaos. And when she got sick, lung cancer, slow and mean, I was 16. Mom couldn't handle hospitals and Dad worked late. So I went every single day. I changed her bedding, learned her med schedule, sat through appointments. Lily, she came once, sat in the corner, posted a photo, and left early. When Grandma passed, I was the one who found the will, tucked into a copy of Little Women, go figure. She left her house to me, her car, a small savings account, and a handwritten note. You were the one who stayed, it read. Not because you had to, but because you saw me. It was never about the money. Never. It was the first time someone chose me out loud. At the funeral, people whispered. Mom looked like she'd swallowed vinegar, all pinched and sour. Lily, in white lace and dramatic eyeliner, barely made eye contact. A few days later, Lily pulled me aside. I know you got the house, she said, flipping her hair the way Mom did when she was cornered, a familiar gesture I'd come to dread. But I'm kind of stuck. Rent's a mess. Could I crash for a bit? I didn't have the heart to say no to my own sister, my own flesh and blood. She moved in that weekend, stayed 6 months, never paid rent, used my shampoo, my groceries, my car when I wasn't looking. When she left, she didn't say thank you, just vanished. 3 years later, she was the one who told people I had taken advantage of Grandma. She called it weird that I'd inherited everything, said I'd manipulated an old woman for property. I never corrected her, never confronted her, because by then, I understood something even colder than silence. They weren't forgetting me. They were rewriting me, deleting my presence from their narrative, replacing me with a more convenient version. Grow up. Andrea's words at the gym, combined with Lily's actions, brought home a painful truth. Did Lily ever remember those nights I made her soup when she had the flu? Did she remember who held her through the thunder when Mom left the windows open? Or did those things just not matter anymore to her, swallowed by the need for self-preservation and social standing? After Lily moved out, I started locking my doors. Not just the front one, but the invisible ones in my mind, too. The ones that let in the manipulation and the disrespect. No more strained family group chats. No more, can you just look over this lease? Or it's just until payday. I systematically started severing those toxic ties, piece by agonizing piece. I moved to a 1-bedroom condo closer to the university, where I taught night classes. Sociology, mostly, the kind of course people took because it was required, not because they actually cared about the intricate theories of human behavior. But I did. I cared about the patterns, the systems, the ways people repeat what they swore they'd escape. I saw myself in those cycles, and I wanted to break them, not just for me, but for others. I saved slowly, methodically, took on consulting gigs, said yes to the offers no one else wanted, holiday shifts, curriculum audits, late-night Zooms with irritated donors. It was quiet work, unglamorous, but it paid. And in 4 years, I'd saved enough to start something that truly felt like mine. A nonprofit called Third Circle Education. We offered life skills workshops for teen girls aging out of foster care. How to read a lease, how to spot a predatory loan, how to write a resume without lying, how to stand up for themselves. They came in guarded, defensive. They left taller, with a little more light in their eyes. And when people asked what inspired it, I never said, my family, because I'd learned some things don't need to be aired out. But I always thought of Grandma Eloise, and how the people who need the most help often learn to ask the least. I wanted to build a place where they didn't have to ask, where help was just there. Then came the article. A local reporter, quiet, thoughtful, had sat through one of our sessions. She wrote a piece called Me a Quiet Engine of Change. The headline was shared more times than I expected. It reached old classmates, former professors, even my parents, the very people who had once seen right through me, or worse, not seen me at all. 2 weeks later, I noticed I'd been removed from Lily's Instagram entirely. Not just blocked, erased. Family wedding photos cropped. Childhood pictures reposted. Captions edited. Just me and my guardian angels, she wrote under a photo where I had once stood between her and Mom. At first, I thought it was an algorithm thing, a glitch. But then I saw the old photo from my college graduation, the one I'd framed for Dad, a prized possession in his office. In the new version on Lily's feed, I wasn't in it. Someone had physically cut me out. Scissors, tape, a new frame, no caption. Just a photo hanging in the background of Lily's kitchen in a video tour she posted when she moved into her dream home. I recognized the frame. I'd bought it. I didn't cry, not a single tear, but I stared at that empty space longer than I should have. And I wondered, when they rewrote the story, did they ever stop to ask who paid for the first chapter? Who laid the groundwork for their happiness? Grow up. Andrea's words. I thought about them again, and I realized that true maturity wasn't about meeting others' expectations or avoiding conflict. It was about facing the truth, setting boundaries, and building a life based on your own values. It was a Tuesday afternoon, rain streaking down the windows, a cold, leftover sandwich on my desk. I was editing grant proposals when the knock came, 3 firm taps, then quiet. I wasn't expecting anyone. Most people called first or texted or didn't come at all. When I opened the door, they were standing there. My mother, my sister, and a man I'd never seen. Mid-40s, nice coat, wedding band. Lily's new husband, I would learn later. They looked rehearsed. Hair perfect, clothes neat, smiles forced. Alex, Mom said, her voice half-breathy, half-familiar, like she was trying to conjure a closeness that hadn't existed in years. As a family, we thought it was time. Time for what? They didn't ask to come in. They just did. Brushed past me like it was still their right, their inherent privilege to walk into my space without an invitation. I watched them settle into my living room. Lily curled into the corner of my couch like she used to in high school, except now in heels, full makeup, like a woman playing a girl she barely remembered being. Her husband said nothing, just nodded politely, like he'd been told to stay out of it. Mom started with compliments. How proud she was, how she'd always known I'd do something meaningful, how she'd shown the article to some people at church. Then came the ask. Lily and her husband had started a business, real estate marketing. It had promise, she said, but they needed startup capital. The bank wouldn't approve the full loan amount without a cosigner. Someone reputable, someone with a proven record of stability. They wanted me to back them on paper, just for a year, maybe less. I know things were tense for a while. Mom added, eyes wide, trying to gauge my reaction. But family finds its way back, right? Lily didn't speak. She looked down at her hands the way she used to before a lie. A familiar tells I'd recognized since childhood. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I stood there watching them sit on my couch. A couch I bought in a home I built, asking for trust they never earned, with voices that had once called me ungrateful. I walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, brought it to the coffee table, set it down, didn't speak. Lily finally looked up. I just thought you'd understand, she whispered. Her voice cracked, but her mascara didn't. I thought about saying it, about listing every time she hadn't understood me, every time she left, erased, rewrote. Instead, I just looked at the water, watching the surface, and waited for it to go still. They didn't stay long, didn't finish the pitch, didn't finish the water. The door clicked shut behind them with the kind of quiet that feels heavier than a slam. And I stood there in the silence they left, wondering, did they really think I wouldn't remember? The envelope this time wasn't certified. It was hand-delivered, thicker, colder, a civil complaint. They were suing me, my own family. The charge, unjust enrichment. They claimed I'd used undue influence to inherit Grandma Eloise's house and savings, that I'd manipulated her, isolated her, cut them out, that Lily had been the true heir, but I'd intervened. It read like a script, a fiction where I was the villain, and Lily the grieving granddaughter, too kind to speak up until now. I didn't need to defend myself, but I would. My lawyer was a former student of mine, Elena Ruiz, smart, unshakable. She'd once written a dissertation on power dynamics in inheritance disputes. When I showed her the complaint, she didn't blink. We've seen this before, she said. But they made a mistake. I raised an eyebrow. Elena smiled just barely. They submitted altered evidence. Lily had forged documents, emails supposedly from Grandma, notes that didn't match her handwriting, even a draft of a revised will that was dated 2 weeks after Grandma's death. They didn't even bother to check the hospice logs. Grandma had been unconscious by then. We didn't counterattack, just submitted proof, point by point, quietly, firmly. When the deposition day came, Lily showed up in pearls and a black blazer, as if it were a family brunch. Mom sat beside her, pale but composed. I didn't speak much. I didn't need to. Elena did, calm, methodical, with the precision of someone who had waited her whole career for a case that spoke for itself. Lily stumbled when asked about the timeline, changed her story, then changed it again. By noon, her lawyer requested a break. By 2 p.m., they asked to settle. Elena declined. She wanted it on record. 2 weeks later, the judge dismissed the case with prejudice, called it a malicious and frivolous attempt to distort documented history. In legal terms, it was a victory, but in family terms, there's no word for it. Mom never called. Dad didn't either. But someone forwarded me a screenshot. Lily had posted a story, a close-up of her tear-streaked face captioned, "Some people will do anything for money, even lie about their own blood." No names, but everyone knew. I turned off my phone for 3 days. When I turned it back on, there was one voicemail from Lily. Her voice was tight, controlled. "I hope you're happy. You ruined everything. Mom won't speak to me. Our investors pulled out. We had to close the office. I needed you." Then silence. Not a request. Not an apology. Just a sentence. "I needed you." As if needing someone once gave you the right to hurt them over and over. I didn't delete the voicemail, but I never listened to it again. Because by then I understood the deepest truth of all. They hadn't turned against me because I failed them. They turned against me because I didn't become the person they wanted me to be. The second time they came, they didn't knock. They called. My father, of all people, after nearly 7 years of silence. His voice was clipped, not angry, just strained. "Things got out of hand," he said. "Your sister regrets a lot. So do we. The lawsuit, that was unfortunate. But we're family, and families survive worse." I didn't answer right away. I waited. Let the silence do the sorting. Finally, he cleared his throat. "We'd like to invite you to a gathering. Your cousin Grant is getting married. Big celebration. Lots of people. It'd mean something if you showed up." I almost laughed. Not out of cruelty, just to the absurdity of it. They wanted me there not for reconciliation, for optics, because now my name meant something. The nonprofit had expanded. Third Circle was in 3 states. We'd partnered with a national women's leadership fund. My face had been on the cover of a regional magazine. From Forgotten to Force, it said they didn't want me. They wanted her, the version of me that made them look good by proximity. I declined. Politely, briefly. A week later, Aunt Marla called. She'd always been kind in a distant, teacup-rattling way. Said she understood why I was hurt. Said what Lily did was inexcusable. Then, just as softly, "But maybe it's time to let it go, sweetheart. People are watching. Weddings are about joy. Don't bring the past into it." That was the line. Don't bring the past into it. As if the past was a purse I could choose not to carry. As if they hadn't already spilled it across the room and walked away. I didn't respond. Didn't go. Didn't post. That Saturday, when the wedding photos flooded social media, sunlight, champagne, a rented garden, I stayed in, lit a candle, read one of Grandma's old paperbacks. And when the doorbell rang just after dusk, I looked through the peephole. It was Lily, alone, no makeup, hair back, eyes red. She didn't say anything, just stood there waiting. I turned off the porch light and let the night answer for me. Lily never tried a third time. After that night on the porch, she didn't text, didn't call, didn't email some long apology asking for another chance. She disappeared into her world of curated reels and mid-morning yoga. And I stayed in mine, not out of bitterness, just clarity. I no longer needed to be seen by them. I only needed to stop being rewritten. The silence that followed wasn't loud. It was exact. It filled only the space they used to take up. No more, no less. Last spring, I repainted the hallway. A soft gray. Clean. Calm. I took down the photos. All of them. Not in anger, just necessity. Dust had settled behind the frames. Time had moved ahead of them. One I almost left. A candid shot of Grandma Eloise and me sitting on her porch swing with mismatched mugs of tea. No poses, no edits. Just presence. But when I lifted the frame, I noticed something behind it, tucked flat against the wall. A second photo, folded, torn at the edges. It was from my college graduation. The full version. Me in the center, arms around Lily and Mom. Before they cut me out. Someone must have hidden it there. Maybe me. Maybe not. I slid the torn photo from behind the glass. Didn't put it back. Didn't throw it away. I left the frame empty, hung it back in place. Not to mourn what was missing, but to remind myself what's gone doesn't need to be filled. It just needs to be named once, quietly, and then left alone. If they once erased your face from the picture, did you ever hang the frame back up?